Welcome to the other edition of the Videogram series tonight with Thomas Burghalter. Thomas Burghalter is an ethnomusicologist, anthropologist, curator, and music journalist based in Bern. He's a founder of Norient, which is a platform for publishing about music, but also about topics related to sound in general, and currently also a film festival. He's a co-editor of the documentary film Contradict that we will discuss later today, and also an author and co-editor of several books such as Local Music Scenes and Globalization, Transnational Platforms in Beirut, or the Arab Avant-Garde Musical Innovations in the Middle East. Currently, he's working on a podcast series, Time Zones and South Asian Sound Stories with musicians from the UK, Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan. And here on, I would like to leave the floor to our today's guest. Thomas, welcome and thank you.
Thank you very much, Jan, for the invitation to this great series. I watched some of the videos. It's an impressive lineup, and it's nice to be around these people as well. So thanks for inviting me. I wanted to talk today a little bit about what it means to write about music, to curate music. I work around music for 25 years now, I think. And during these years, I made a lot of observations. I made a lot of tryouts, errors, successes, a lot of different things. And I wanted to talk a little bit what I think good curation or good music journalism could be, or at least the path that I think I would like to follow in the future. I will also screen a little bit of Contradict, like 10 minutes, the documentary that I have done some years ago or 2 years ago. And we were discussing that you can have maybe some first questions after this first Contradict screening, and then I continue the lecture. So I hope technically everything works more or less, and I will start then.
It's Kamaru, Joseph Kamaru, KMRU, in my workspace, my studio, my safe space in Rongai, 2:36 p.m. on the 24th of February in Nairobi.
So as I said in the beginning, today I would like to suggest 15 principles and suggestions that I think I would work around music in the next years. 2005, Beirut. I run through the city, meet many musicians. I do 100 interviews with artists, with people around these artists. I visit concerts. And I ask myself, how do I get closer to these musicians and to music? So I believe, from my experience, that spending as much time as possible is important to get close to phenomena and to talk about music today. So the first suggestion that I have for music journalism is try to get as deep as possible. I try to observe music making as a practice, so really listen to the music, analyze what these people are doing, trying to know as much as possible about music production, about music softwares and things. I also try to who are they in their local, who are they social, politically, what do they do or within the world. And this I would do a lot. And the last segment that I would work with a lot is music as a media product, because the moment you release an album or a video clip, it goes into the music market, the cultural markets, it goes into the internet, and it has its own path that is beyond the will and the power of the musicians sometimes. And I think to interact with these three layers brings me quite deep into things. (1998) and 2019 in London. I interviewed musicians in London that I interviewed 20 years ago. And these interviews, they really blow me away, you know. They were so intense, they went so deep. The people trusted me a lot. I was being in contact with them for 20 years now. And I feel spending time and going back to certain scenes is something that brings you forward as a music journalist and as a curator. It's amazing if you know what people did 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago. They tell their stories differently. And yeah, I was really amazed really by the stories from Asian Dub Foundation and many others. Yeah. 2006, I was back in Beirut for my PhD, and I got like a crisis, a big crisis of representation. I was thinking, like, who am I to talk about these musicians? I didn't believe in my voice anymore, and I started also feeling that the musicians tell me exactly what they think I want to hear. I remembered also that in London, 10 or 5 years ago, I was interviewing musicians, and there was an Indian student and a student from Norway, and the two of them would interview the same musicians. And then we met and we would talk about what they told us, and the stories that these musicians told were completely different. And this was quite funny at the moment, but after a while, it starts you thinking, what is my solo research really worth? What do I really get as a Swiss white middle class male, you know? And these feelings, like some years ago, I did a theater play. It was called Clash of Gods. I became a white god that would explain the world to people, that would know everything. And at the end of this piece, I would die on stage with terrible acting, and I would we would screen a quote from Jenny Mbaye. She's a sociologist from London. I had asked her, what do you think is my role as a researcher when I research contemporary African music? And this was her answer.
On a reflective journey of a privileged white man who is concerned about music, who is passionate about music, and who wants to be part of the citizens of the world, sharing good music and love for music, but still from a very privileged position. What can be your role in this redefining phase? I think your role can only be a humble one. Take the back seat and feel privileged of taking that back seat. Enjoy the view while recognizing all the luggages that you may bring with you. And if you have, ways of making things visible, ask how you can be of use. So yeah, take the back seat and feel privileged for enjoying the view, just, you need to stop that now. You need to stop it.
2002, I founded Norient because I wanted to get deeper into music and into phenomena around music. And I wanted to start contrasting what I found with what others found. So if I write an article on music in Beirut, I prefer to have a Lebanese writer writing about the same artist or the same musicians, or someone else from somewhere to write about the same musician. And so that these different readings of a scene, of a music scene and of music could be next to each other and sometimes contradictory.
You have to know how to dance to this. You have to know how to dance to this. You have to know how to dance to this. You have to know how to dance to this. You have to know how to dance to this. Track. You have to know how to dance to this. You have to know how to dance to this. You have to know how to dance to this. You have to know how to dance to this. Track.
2022, Norient is always getting more multidisciplinary. Norient aims to combine ethnographic observation, scientific depth, journalistic relevance, and artistic dramatization. I cannot read the screen here. You guys are in the screen. Yeah, you can read it by yourself. Today, I feel that Norient, that we are part of an international community, a community of practice that is actually trying to fight for the worth of creativity and creation in this world. Our goal is to support each other, give credit to each other, to learn from each other. And also maybe together as a community to fight the power of algorithms and to get the stories out. I believe that a network like Norient can only live when it is part of a community and not alone. Because if you're alone, I think you just have to pay money to social media so that your stories go out. I think the network is the only path forward. But it's important, I think, that these stories go out, and that's a very important criteria. So we are fighting to reach people and not just to preach or talk to ourselves.
Many frequencies, freaky frequencies that affect my body. And I can't stand it. Too much information, you know.
Staying creative between beauty and chaos in Rio de Janeiro. Featuring Opa Vivara, Cabello Cobra Coral, Thais Delgado, Bruno Carvalho, Sabrina Fidalgo, Thiago Lenes.
I think the best word you can use is frustrating. You can be book smart, you can be street smart. Most kids are book smart. And then you find a kid cannot even afford an exercise book. I've grown up with like a couple of them. I've seen where they've ended up. Even from my childhood, we have like, I think 3 friends who've just remained. Most of them were super smart, but after you finish high school, that's it. Most of them died because of violence. Some of them are still in prison, you know. Opportunity not for everyone. People decide to do other things because of pressure, or maybe just they're in a vulnerable position. Because if your mom can afford or your dad can afford to pay for you like university or get you an apartment or even food, I'm pretty sure even in your right mind, most of the guys, they sought for violence or just stealing or anything. So it's always just frustrating. It's really frustrating. And the inequality in Kenya is just super absurd, you know.
An artist is a very sensitive type of human being. You can mess with a person like this and have them completely depressed, suicidal, wanting to end everything in their lives. It's all about dominance, control, power. This industry has potential to make money. So a lot of the people don't really care about the women that they're working with. That's why they feel like they can, take advantage of them like this.
2016, burn. I have a burnout. I don't see a path forward. I became an administrator of too many voices. And my own creativity didn't find a place anymore. And Norient was almost always at the brink of dying financially. And a lot of this time is in the documentary Contradict that I conducted with Peter Guyer between 2013 and 2018 in Ghana. I felt very much connected to the musicians that we see in the film that try through music to create a career or a better life. And if you watch the film, you see they work hard. They are full of ideas and energy and talent and knowledge. And they go 3 steps forward and two steps back all the time. And if you talk to people in Ghana, to youth in Ghana, there is so much anger out there. There is a lot of depression out there. There is a suicide rate that is rising. There is a lot of women talking about sexual harassment. So it's not the toughest place in Africa by far. It was not too difficult to film in Accra, but it's still tough for young people to create something, to try to live a life that brings in some money and is still maybe interesting and exciting even exciting. So what I would like to show you in the middle maybe of this section is like 3 parts of the film of Contradict. We start with the scene where you see where you hear voices of young people that we interviewed. The film is full of voices that we interviewed next to our filming. People that are not in the film with their face, because sometimes to put someone with his or her face is too intimate. So we decided to have a lot of voices during the film that talk about, that we hope give the emotion of what living in Accra is like. Then we will see a scene with one of the biggest priest from this huge evangelical church, very influential, but the guy is now in prison because these priests of this big church, for many of them, it's really a business. And there's a lot of stories out there that people who were criminals then became priests. And it's a way of making money, basically. So you will see him. And then we have one song by Mensa, is one of the main persons in the film. And the film was done in a way that part of the budget that we raised would go to the artists that are in the film. And with this budget, they would create their own songs and also create video clips. And the video clips were created with their own local teams, sometimes international teams as well. And these video clips are now part of our documentary. So it's in a way a mixture of aesthetics, our own aesthetics and the views of the artists. And for me, this is an important way of working. It's not a one-way street where I tell you what Ghana is about, but it's a patchwork of perspectives, I think. So this will be like around 9 minutes or so, or maybe 8, I don't remember. And maybe we can have a first break with some questions if there are any after. I close my picture.
When I wake up, I still have to like really psych myself up in order to start my day.
More dark, or you're feeling more alone, or you're feeling more tortured in your head.
Sometimes I actually can't even get out of bed. I just can't face the world right now.
The mental health advocacy group.
It felt like I was just coasting through life like a ghost.
Yeah.
Have you ever been suicidal?
Yeah. I think in February.
Okay. In the name of Jesus Christ, because of your faith, because of your faith, I turn this water into the blood of Jesus Christ. I command the powers from heaven, from Jesus Christ of Nazareth, to enter into your water. In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. I bless this water for you. In Jesus Christ's name. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Okay.
To make any plain full, not half, any plain for. Say me chidi for, me followers, me chidi for, and the marshal, and conform da.
So I'm saying this without mentioning words. Plain, I'm saying this, that my followers, my members of the church would never go down.
Because
Because I know what people like.
I
know what people like.
Nipa piska.
People like money.
Nipa power.
People like childbearing.
Nipa payarisa.
People like healing.
Nipa power.
People like marriage.
Nipa pe promotion, ne contract, ne visa, ne exam so be pass.
People like promotion, contract, visa, and how to pass their exams. And I will do it for you to come and follow me.
This is ordinary baby tofu. If you eat it, this tofu, 1 or 2, if you eat it, hey, you will pregnant in Jesus' name. This is direct baby for you.
Whatever sickness that you have in your womb, fibroid, low sperm count on the part of your husband,
or you don't have any womb,
or you don't have any womb, or you don't have any husband. The moment you eat this toffee, you will get pregnant. If you like, you can choose not to have any sex with a man. You will still get pregnant.
Open 1 and 2.
You will have 1 or 2.
1 baby or 2 baby. Or 3.
1 or 3.
Also per se. 2 or 3 or 1. 2. You put 2 and 2. You put 1 and 1.
Those who like to
one cares anymore. Everything I've said. I'll keep the rest in my head. My breath, my breath, my breath, my breath. I'm tired of complaining. Now it's time for action. Tired of complaining. Now it's time for action. My breath, my breath, my breath, my breath. Casanedos, my breath, my breath, my breath, my breath. Casanedos, my breath. Every day we dey talk. No one want do their work. What they go on, the show goes on. My breath, I'm tired. My breath. Nobody they care anymore. No curfew, it be war. Everybody just want what you go get. I'm tired of sweat. My breath, my breath, my breath.
Synonymous to Christ, you lost ascension. The correct thing is for this non-venomous animal to go up your rectum.
This is the White Lounge. We've got One Love and Mensa. African boys, what's up in 020-2222-073. That's 020-222-073. And also on Twitter at Y179FM, hashtag White Lounge. Alrighty, so Mens, I saw you tweet some pictures today.
Yes.
From a shoot you were at.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the song that we're going to be releasing now?
Okay, yeah. So the song is called Switch On.
It's amazing, guys.
So it's Mensa and Red Red.
Mensa and Red Red, first time airplay. You heard it here first.
This is true.
Switch on. Soak it in.
Follow Y1079 FM on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook.
Change, I did tell you. Nobody they even try anymore. Design the whole system to fail you. We race, but we don't know what we're running for. Your puppy no get clue. Mommy know they get you. She say Jesus be your rescue. Find pastor make it bless you. Win some, lose some. Switch on when we touch down. We take some, give more. Move on and we live on. Win some, lose some. Switch on when we touch down. We take some, give more. Move on and we live on. Time to go, I did tell you. And we no go fit wait anymore. All the lies where they sell you, and we still they wait here many more. Your government forget you, honorable no they set you. When our economy they stretch you, or maybe God just they test you. Win some, lose some, switch on when we touch down. We take some, give more, move on and we live on. Win some, lose some, switch on when we touch down. Take some, give more, move on and we if he just come say, scream and far away, without no city walls, where Nkrumah was crucified. He died to save us all.
And that switch on. Wow, you sound really melancholy.
Years, you know.
First time ever.
Please, what does that word mean? This is the last social commentary song I'm going to make in my life.
Wow. Seriously, man?
Yeah.
I feel, can you do that? I feel like that's you, no?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like there's ways.
You're giving up on
giving up,
Africa?
just...
You're giving up on us? You're not allowed to.
Now I'm just looking at myself and my family.
Guys, you're not supposed
So
to
more bottle songs.
Wow.
More. My next album.
So you legit feel there's no hope. You've done this for 10 years plus, so...
There's hope for me.
Okay. So solo thinking now.
In my personal life.
Yeah. I finished. So take this one. I haven't even finished mixing it. Take it.
Yeah, so these are some parts from Contradict. I don't know if there's already some question. We can make an in-between session.
Actually, I would like to ask you, now I will repeat myself because actually this is the same question I asked last week, Derek Debru from Njege Njege. Like a big part of your research has taken place outside the Western world. And do you think your roots, but also the fact of, like, as you said, like middle-class white European were influential in your research? Or how do you work in a way that doesn't interfere with the local culture?
How do you mean interfere? What can you explain a bit?
How to say it, that you are not bringing your knowledge and visions of world somewhere and then like selling it as the true. If this makes sense.
Yes, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm selling things as a truth. When I come, maybe my role as a man from Europe would suggest that I bring so. So I think the only thing that you can do is try to work as precise as possible, as much in collaboration with other people as possible, to give back as much as possible, to sometimes go in the background as well. That's why I founded Norient. I will talk later a little bit about it, that it is a platform where others can speak how they want to speak. And I'm not always the one that is directing things. Sure, I direct always on a certain level because I am here and I try to run the platform, but we try to spread the power quite a bit, I would say. Yeah, but it's a question that you cannot really answer. It's more something that you have to try to work in a good way that is sensitive about all these issues and politics and horrors of the past. But I also think it would be wrong to stop collaborating and working outside of Europe. But yeah, it's a constant question. What is my role in this research?
I think also, as you mentioned before, like a way can be just like offering a part of the budget to the locals to like produce their, in this case, their video clips, their music.
Exactly. I think budget is always, I think it's at the end of the day, always a discussion that needs to be discussed. There's many things. For the Norient Film Festival, I think it's an important step for us that we do the curation now through others and not ourselves only in Bern and Berlin, that we only try to keep the festival, to finance the festival. Basically, what we are doing is trying to fund, to fight to get some money and to bring people to the festival and sell tickets. But the program at the moment really comes from people in India, next year also from Colombia, from Nairobi, from London, and from Switzerland. And I think that's one way forward as well, that you take the aesthetical decisions, that you don't take them, but that you create a platform where others can play. Yeah.
This is really nice to create a platform where others can play. Thank you.
Yeah, the problem is, as I said, it's a lot of work to keep this platform. I think if you're it's maybe different if you are like really rich and you just finance this platform and you put it there. But ourselves as well, and me, I'm also from a subcultural world. I mean, into experimental music. So it's also quite a bit of work to keep the platform, that it survives, that it was often on the brink of dying. And not that I want to compare, but I just also want to say that it's also not so simple to make something stable and over 20 years, even in Switzerland, that survives, you know, that is between all the, between a lot of things, and no one really, and a lot of people never understand it. They would always say, what is Norient? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. So I think we have much smaller fight for sure, but for us, it's also, it's a project with a lot of passion, but also a project where we hope that it can exist, and we fight that it can exist. And then if others can play, I'm the happiest person on earth, to be honest. When parts of the festival, when you don't program it anymore, and you just see this amazing content on your platform or on the festival, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's a nice feeling.
Yeah, I would also like to jump to the one image from the presentation of the 2016 and the burnout, because for example, like I launched last year one platform that was, or like still is, about listening practices, and like in the beginning the funding was not getting the way as I was expecting, which means that in the practice just turned that I was not only creating, but I also needed to take the care of the PR, corrections, translations, and like much more positions that I was like not able to financially cover. And yeah, and it's not even a year that I launched it, and I already burned out. I was like really like 3 months ago, I was like, okay, I'm just going to send all the fundings that I got back to the associations and just close it, because there's like no way how that I can like survive in a healthy way, but also in a way that is polite to the artists that participated. So like how to avoid this kind of situation, or like what is your experience in time to let's say like handle this kind of situations?
Oh, I don't know. It's like, yeah, I think for me it's important that my creative side has time, and that I'm not only trying to stabilize this platform and finance this platform, because at the end of the day, I am passionate to create also my own podcasts and music, and also I'm passionate to research and do films. And if this is completely away and I'm just holding a platform, I could also, I could have maybe done something else. But on the other hand, when I'm only playing music and I'm only writing and only producing, I feel after a while, I feel too alone as well. I like to work alone, but I would feel too alone. And I start thinking like, but Thomas, I mean, how do you want to talk about something if you are just thinking on your things and you're working on these 20 seconds for 3 days, you know? So I want this mixture, but I think it has to be right. One is to work for my own things, to do my own reflections, to dig deep in myself. And the other is to be with a network and to be with people and to be inspired for sure with people and challenged with people. So I think for me, it's really about finding a mixture. It's a mixture between these two. Yeah. And then you should also do some time off sometimes. Yeah. But
have a walk around the office.
Exactly. The walk is always good.
Actually, my other questions are more focused on the writing about music, but I think you will answer them within when we will like more focus onto the Norient platform. So it is fine for you when we will continue with
Yes.
your talk. Thank you.
That's good. Let's see if I answer some. Otherwise, you ask.
Okay.
2022. There's something else that sometimes we feel it's important for a platform like Norient, and it's to show solidarity and to say there is musicians out there, there is artists out there, there is scholars out there in places where there is a war or a huge crisis. And this was very important also in the Syrian war and in the Beirut war, maybe on some levels in a different way as well, because in Syria and Lebanon, a lot of people think, in the Middle East, there is only extreme people. And it's good for a platform like us to show there is underground artists, there is pop artists, there is free jazzers, there is jazz musicians, electronic guys. And in the terrible war now that is happening in Ukraine, but what we try to do is small. It's just to tell the world about all these Bandcamp releases and buy some by ourselves and let people know that they can support through music or through posters and things. It's not much, but I think I cannot be quiet, and I think a platform like Norient should not be quiet. What we don't do is we don't go in and try to call up artists now that are now helping people in Ukraine or are even in the army, because I think they have other things to do than journalists calling them and doing superficial stories. So what we would do is maybe share an amazing article by someone else on Norient, or share a book publication on music and things, but we don't disturb artists that have more important things to do. In 2019, London again, the triple death of music journalism. It was a sentence that was in my mind all the time. I started feeling that artists and their managements, they are more and more into branding, into the image of the artist, and journalists that try to go deep and work with others and know an artist from all different angles become a little bit worrying for a management and for an artist, because you watch below the surface, you ask questions. Not every artist from Beirut that works with Arabic music is a connoisseur of Arabic music. He or she doesn't have to be, but if he sells in Europe with this image, and you write an article that this artist has no clue about Arabic scales and things, it's troubling. Even though we are only observing, I don't say an Arabic musician needs to know about Arabic scale. But things like this, I felt it became more and more difficult to go deep. And one example is 2015, there was the management of a European electronica artist that told us we cannot screen a documentary that we were doing in Cairo with the documentary makers from Egypt. And so we couldn't screen it. And the reasons were really bizarre. In the film, there was one dog on a leash. And the management said the artist has problems with animals that are kept at home and are on leashes and things like this. It's not cool for an image. And so we never released the documentary. And the manager, he would write down in the film things that he would not like and that we need to cut out. And I put just some sentences here, but I don't tell who is the artist. So the most funny one was this one, actually. I mean, funny.
Not in your way. Not in your way. From the beginning of trying to make a career for myself in Nairobi, there have been people, men specifically, holding me back, you know. They were not releasing my music, saying it wasn't good enough. Not in your way. Not in your way. Not in your way. As a producer, you own a studio and you're a man already. It's people coming to you. They mostly feel like they can control what comes out of that studio after people have come in. But it's not about that. It's not about controlling what comes out of your studio. It's about making sure that each individual artist who comes into your studio lives doing great things and in their own ways, you know? Not in your way. Not in your way.
Identity, politics, and woke culture are very important. The creation of festivals and also the writing in music journalism needs to be more in the hands of non-European, non-Swiss, non-male people. That's very, very important, and it's an important step. And I think there are some first improvements in this. On the other hand, and on a smaller and less important hand, I think it's important that platforms like Norient, or also writers like me, that we don't just stop talking and writing. I think it's important that we go through all the criteria that I think are important in journalism or in curating, the things that I talked about, going deep, reflecting from different angles, collaborating with people. I think it's important that we do that and we still speak. And when we speak, that we are also open to receive feedback, that we may be answered, that we also answer feedback, that we also say we are wrong here, we were wrong, and we don't pretend to know everything. But I think to stop talking is not the way forward. In 2002, when I started Norient, it was still an easier time, one could say. I worked a lot as a freelance journalist, and I was writing, for example, the New Zurich newspaper. And back there, you would get, for one page, you would get like 1,300 euros, which was really a lot, you know. And I could basically write once a month, one page, and then maybe do some other articles, and actually do what I do, like really research music. I would travel to London, to Cairo. I didn't need a lot of money, otherwise I was a student. And so it made it possible what I do. This is for sure. Today, it's another time. The Zurich newspaper, I think they pay now 250 euros, not 2,300. And so if I would start again, I would need to find another way forward. I'm sure there is a way forward, because I think what is important in life is that we keep trying, that we don't say it's too difficult if we have a passion. I strongly believe in that. And to get bitter and to say things were better in the past, I think it's not the way. So it's always about finding a way forward. I truly believe that creative work needs to be paid. So with Norient, we really try, or I think we pay for every article, every graphic design that is coming in. We don't pay huge amounts, but we pay actually better than some newspapers do these days, which is not too difficult. And I'm unsure. Sometimes I ask myself, there's a lot of internet radios out there, there's a lot of music magazines out there where a lot of people work for free. And I'm not sure if this really is a thing you can do, that creative work is done for free. And maybe one could say it's like the world doesn't exist without some people working for free. Maybe you can say a lot of associations, people work for free. It's the only way, but I'm very skeptical about this free work in a lot of media, also well-known media in Europe and different places of the world.
It's a tough place. We're still a developing country. We have a lot of stuff to deal with. But for producers and artists, we work in isolation. Having to work in isolation has its own problems. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of secrecy. To take your own path, you have to be really silent with what you're doing, because there are a lot of naysayers. First of all, they'd ask you, why? Like, what's over there? What are you going to find over there? And that would make you question your own journey. It takes a lot of courage because you don't know what you'll find. Personally, as an artist, we usually take the roles people don't want to take, especially the psychological roles. So if you've embraced that role, then it's good to just go on. There's no there's no barrier.
With the medium of music, I let it all out.
As violent as I can.
As violent as I can.
Today, I think it's very important to try to find new formats in journalism, in scholarship, and in creation. So in 2020, I started asking myself, is it possible to create music out of interviews? Can interview statements become like song lyrics with choruses and things like this? And so I started working towards compositions or tracks. I would do interviews with musicians and start editing the answers, some of the answers, then approach them and started collaborating basically on tracks together with them. And they would sometimes re-sing some of the phrases they were speaking that I had edited out. They would also provide sounds and beats. I would provide sounds and beats, and together the idea is to create tracks. And these tracks, when you release them, it would be a 50-50 share, or however, how many people are inside. So everyone would also gain income from these tracks. I mean, you never know if they sell, but in theory, they would generate income. And I think for me personally, it's the way forward that I want to go at the moment, because I think it's where journalism, ethnographic research, music, art come together. And I feel like this, I could really try, it's a try to create stories in a different way.
I'm angry. Oh yes, I'm angry. I'm angry. You're still asking if I'm angry? Oh yes, I'm angry. I'm angry. Oh yes, I'm angry. I'm angry. You're still asking if I'm angry? Oh yes, I'm angry. White supremacists, they're angry. People of color are angry. Fuck out of here. You're yelling at me gets me angry. Even the president's angry. I'm so fucking angry. You have no idea. I have a problem with some policemen taking bribes. I know everyone has a problem with it, but when we are stopped by the police, we are quick to offer them bribes so they can let us go because we don't want to be late for that appointment, and you're asking me if I'm angry? Oh yes, I'm angry. I'm so fucking angry you have no idea. I'm angry. You're still asking if I'm angry? Oh yes, I'm angry.
So today, for me, it's important to try to tell stories not only through writing, but to work on all the different disciplines, like working through sound, through image, through film, through text, and create stories with these different disciplines, because I think it's important to speak to speak to different emotions, to speak and also to keep things to a certain extent open. You don't tell you exactly how something is, but to create stories that you can read differently through the sound, through the lyrics, through things. So 2019, there was the relaunch of Norient. And this new Norient was really very audiovisual on the surface, with these snaps that you see turning here. And then in the middle ground, it is more journalistic with articles, with podcasts, with series of photography, things like this. And then if you go deeper, you come to an index where we have keywords for each article, and so you can make collections. You can find through the keyword of war, for example, you get a huge collection on articles, podcasts around the topic of war. All the content on Norient is for free. What is not for free, and that we try to finance through membership, is these collections, these topic collections. Also, when you are a member, it's much easier to navigate on the platform than if you're not a member. It's like the idea is like a software where you have the freeware and the paid version. So some people say it's difficult to navigate on Norient. I don't think it's so difficult, but it's not the classic path. With members, we have a new newsletter now where you get all the articles in magazine style, but you don't get it on Norient. You just get it here. The thing you see now is if you are a member, you get this topic of war, like 20 articles or 30, I don't know.
I feel like artists can bring change to a society. Someone said artists are like God's messengers. So it's like, there's this thing inside you as an artist sometimes, like it's like a sixth sense, It's connected to your greater goal. So I feel like every artist should listen to that little voice inside them as well, just that tells them, okay, do that, but also be cautious of this, or just whatever the voice tells you. Sometimes it's good to listen, because that voice is the voice of change.
So today I try to find a balance, as I said before, between my own journalistic and musical creation on one side, and on the other side, my role in Norient. So I try to put like 1.5 days a week for Norient, or 2 days for Norient, and 3 days for my own thing. And I hope that with these two sides actually can live. So maybe this is my role as a Swiss interested or passionate about music from around the globe, but also about music in Switzerland and Europe. It's important to say. I'm not just in brackets working in Asia and Africa. I also am very interested in underground scenes in Europe and Switzerland. So maybe this is my role as a Swiss, to try to create this platform, to keep it alive, to put my energy in that it can keep alive. I'm getting more and more in the background of this platform, but I didn't disappear. This didn't disappear yet, because it's quite complicated to work across places, across continents. I think you still need a core team in a place that really wants that this platform stays alive, that finds time to sit together and to discuss. While on Zoom, I think on Zoom you can do small, medium project. The biggest project that we did is the Norient Film Festival, that is curated where people worked for 1 year from outside of Switzerland or Europe. But with like 4, 5, 6 year long projects, I don't know if you could actually do it without having the money to meet like every half year. So I'm still there, and I hope that Norient will live for a long time.
The whole point of life is experiencing life. Just going through whatever comes your way. Whatever comes your way. Just go through it. It's part of life. Experiencing life. Whatever comes your way. If you are going through something dark, just go through it. It's part of life.
Voila, that's it.
Actually, really thank you for the last words, because when I was actually thinking about it when I was watching the Contradict movie, there is a part when one musician is like describing like how he's getting connected with the fan base, and
Yes.
that he's like using like WhatsApp and so on, and like seeing the media as like a direct way how to communicate with the people interested or with the fan base in general. And I was just thinking like how I'm understanding the things, and or like as we talked before starting of the lecture, that like how painful it is for me just to post something on Instagram, because I never cannot like turn myself into the position that I can see that I'm actually communicating with the people that are interested in my topics. I only see always the algorithms.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the example that you're mentioning is Akan, is a rapper from Accra, and he basically, I mean, he's also very active on all the different social media platforms. But for him, he said that creating a WhatsApp group is the most efficient way, because then he really can collect all these followers in this WhatsApp group, and he knows that there is no algorithm really that makes that they don't see when he posts something. The backside of it is really that they all have his phone number, and they would call him all the time. So they would call him in the night. So in Contradict, in the film, there is this scene where someone calls him in the night, and I mean, it must be crazy if you have like this huge group and you have to communicate with them because they want to feel your personality and think. It's probably even more close than in an Instagram or even TikTok channel, where it's still a bit more of a one-way thing than in a group like this, in a WhatsApp group. So I also don't know how they can handle it.
Yes, just to the audience, like, please feel free to ask questions or just write them to the chat. I would like to jump into the music journalism. Because I know your work from before. I also know the way how you are writing about music, and what I find interesting is that when it comes to the musicians around the globe, that you don't put your focus on some musician just because he, she, they are from somewhere. And when it comes to writing about music from the diasporas, like, it's possible to see really often the usage of the mantra the courageous artist, or like some political position, victimhood, oppression, etc., and the aesthetic merits of the music, or like of the artistic productions are the secondary.
Yes.
So my question is like how to write about music without the need to exotify the subject.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, that's a good observation. I think it's maybe one of the cores of my approach and of my writing. In a way, to be honest, it's quite selfish. I'm really passionate about music, and I would write about music that triggers me, that fascinates me. I don't write about music because it's from a musician from a certain place. So I went to Cairo and to Beirut because I felt there is like these underground scenes with like really interesting and strong sounds. I made this film on Accra, on Ghana, because I really liked the work of the two main characters in the film, One Love and Mensa. They had made a hip-hop musical like in the year, I don't know, 2010 or 2012, 13. It was a hip-hop musical, a day and a night in Accra. And it was so fast, aesthetically dense, smart, that it blew me away. So I would try to reach out. We invited them to the Norient Film Festival. So in writing, yes, I'm very critical about writing that just features an artist because he or she is from a certain place. Yeah, I think I would never do that. Yeah, I think I didn't, maybe once or twice. I don't know. One should never say, but. No, I try to focus on the music and then to see what the musician is about, how she lives in this world, who he or she is influenced by, and I try to go close and then see what comes up, you know, and yeah, that's for me very, very important.
And because also like this scenario can be used upside down when the artist itself is using it for the self-promotion, and how you see this kind of approach.
I think it's okay in a way. One could say it's okay. A musician can try to make his living or her living. It's not a story that I would write down like this. I would not say this amazing Arabic musician, blah, blah, blah. I would try, as I said in the lecture, I would try to find out how much does he or she really knows about Arabic music. What are his or her influences really? Why does he or she thinks that it sells better in Europe to do this music? And then I would try to discuss this with him or her. I would discuss the music with people in the Arab world, for example, with experts. And I would write a story that brings in all these stories around this musician. So I would not say this musician is bad for doing it, but I would really say like this musician doesn't really know the tradition, and I would try to ask also the musician and discuss with him and or her and to get his story out. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Basically, research. The best is to get the story at the end out of the musicians, and not to write badly in a way a story that you found out. So I would try to bring it back to the artist in a second interview and tell him or her, look, all these people from the scene, they think you have no clue about Arabic music. Why do you pretend in the promotional text? Then he or she would often start saying, yeah, it was because of this or that. And I think this is where the interesting stories lie. You know, this is where the interesting stories lie. And yeah, that's what I work. What I don't do is, as I said, I work with musicians and music that I find interesting, great, challenging. I don't write about a musician to destroy him with my article. You know, I don't write if I think a musician makes music that I don't like at all, has nothing to do with Arabic music, but she pretends. I would not write an article, she pretends. So I would try to work with stuff that challenges me and that I find fascinating, and not spend the time and also the platform for music that I don't think is important. I think there's many others that will write about this artist, but maybe it doesn't need to be me.
And back to the contradict, somehow I really enjoyed the Help America fundraising campaign. Did the fucking boys, were the fucking boys the ones who came with the idea, or like how actually the idea developed, or what is the background of the story?
Yeah, this was actually in 2013. It was the first shooting in Accra. And this song, it already existed, this song. They had made it, I think 2 years ago, like 2011 or something, but they never had made a video clip. And when we were there and we were discussing with them what we're trying to do and things like that, they said, but you have this amazing camera. Can't you film us going through the streets through this market street in Accra and film us singing the song? So it's actually, we were more working for them, to be honest. It was like their idea from A to Z, yeah.
And it's still continuing? Like, are they still fundraising the money?
Yeah, I think now they have enough to really finance the US. And I think they brought Biden to power now and things, yeah. Now, I don't know if they are super happy with him, but maybe they try already the next move, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they are planning something better for them.
Yeah.
I also like ask you, because you mentioned like during your presentation not to be quiet, and also I really like the very end of the Contradict documentary where the Nana Akosua Hanson is saying that she like feels that she needs to support, or like she needs to change the system, and that the level of her education need to be also accessible to the others. Mm-hmm. So. Mm-hmm. And I would like to jump with this to a situation that happened in the end of the last year, actually in the moment where all the like big music media started publishing the album of the year, or like the musicians of the year, etc., etc. One artist made a geography of these lists and post them on Twitter, which start not really nice discussion. And actually, like the results of the geography was that there was like no like Eastern Europe music practically doesn't exist, or like music from the Eastern Europe diaspora practically doesn't exist. And I wanted to ask, like, what do you think, like, what is the position of a music journalist? Should music journalists like put or like when he's writing about music, work with the idea that it's needed to get the same voice to each part of the world?
It's an interesting question. I don't know if it's the music. First of all, I think one could say it should be the magazines or the platforms and the internet radio stations, the ones that running it. I think they should maybe wake up and see that the cultures and music of this world, contemporary music of this world, is not anymore just in London and Berlin and I don't know, Los Angeles, or I don't know, you know. I think the policy should come from them first. The music journalists, the ones I know, they are all like really passionate people that try to survive, you know, that are very fascinated in one musical genre, that dig deep in these genres. I don't know if you can tell them that they should start working all over the world. I think you can hope that they do. I mean, I'm very happy when you look back when I founded Norient in 2002. It was really exotic for people that I do this Norient, and I don't work with world music or traditional music from Africa and Asia. I always said, but there is upcoming new music, club music, experimental music out there. It's not just tradition. And they would say, yeah, it's not interesting or something. I think this changed. Now there's a lot of underground music, club music, even pop music coming from these places. So I think the development goes into a direction that is okay. I cannot speak for Eastern Europe too much. It's possible you will know more. It's possible that there is more focus on underground stuff in Arab world, in different African countries than it is on Eastern Europe. But you have also a strong scene. You have on the other hand, a strong scene and many artists.
Yes, like there are like a lot of labels with like really original sound. And
but
actually,
you feel it's not so much represented in media than, for example, urban African music or Arabic.
Like I cannot compare it with these parts of the world, but I think in general it's a bit underrepresented.
Yeah.
Like maybe not a bit, is like pretty much underrepresented. And but I must say that this discussion, like this whole Twitter fight that happened in the end of the year kind of changed things. That even like, for example, like Wire now published a playlist of only Slovak music labels. So yeah, so I think it's like this kind of let's say conflicts were like successful in the way that it put the eyes on the scene.
Yeah, I think the big question is there what are the chances for upcoming music journalists? You know, are there upcoming music journalists? Will they create new platforms, and how do these platforms look like? Because I think the older generation, they are sometimes really in their niches, and maybe it's difficult to really change them. You can maybe change them a little bit. I don't know. I think the question is with the next generation as well.
I think I have now last questions that is more about like how to run a research, because like you have a background in ethnography and anthropology and like pretty extensive research experience. And let's say I want to work on a topic that touches on ethnographic research. I have no previous experience with this kind of approach or like way of thinking, and like how to start, like how to proceed with such a project in an ethical way. Like what you will recommend?
I would recommend, I think I would always recommend to listen to as much as possible, to research as much as possible online before you go somewhere. Go on SoundCloud and look who is producing things. Then when you have a little bit of an overview of things, or a good overview of things, start thinking, who do you want to approach and why? Which artists do you want to approach and why? And then write to them before you go there. Tell them, I'm XX. I'm interested in your music because it is like, yeah, it's like this or this. It triggered something in me, and I'm working on this topic. And I think maybe it would be interesting if we meet, and then if this person is okay with me, you start meeting him or her. I think it's important that you always say what you're planning to do. Also that he or she can read your article before it's being published, all these things, you know. And then when you are in a city, I think it's important to run around like crazy and to meet people, to go to concerts, maybe not only stay within in one circle, your main circle where you're doing your research, but also trying to go to other music scenes and talk to them and see how is this main circle that you're interested. How do others think about this circle? Because you get to know more than when you're always with the same group. In Beirut, I started talking to elderly people, to young people. Also to the elderly, it's interesting what they would say about the free improvisers, you know, and they would make jokes sometimes, but you learn and you can bring them back to the musicians and you get to know them better. I think do your research. I'm sometimes also start thinking, I never did it, how much one could actually constantly check what these artists publish on social media, you know, and make almost a story out of their social media stories and things. It might be quite interesting and strange as well. I've never done that. This media persona, to make a story out of this media persona that is an artist that would, tweet things that are personal sometimes, and then as an artist again. I don't know, just it's a big mosaic, a big patchwork of knowledge that you can bring together. Yeah, I mean, I talk a lot, I'm sorry, but I really love this kind of work, to meet people, to try to get to the bottom of things.
And do you think for like nowadays artists it's possible to like be public or like to be present without using the social media?
Yeah, I think it's difficult, but there is always the 1 or 2 or 3, the 2%, 3, 4, 5% that do this amazing stuff that suddenly starts traveling by its own. I'm sure it's also possible, but it's maybe the less easy way. I mean, no way is easy. I think you have to find your own path. If you cannot tweet and make social media stories all the time, and you're too shy, I mean, maybe then just try to focus on your music, make it as strong as possible, or try to get some friends that maybe can give it to others. I think you have to find your personal way. I think there's no really recipe. I don't know. I think there's no recipe. You can also be on social media all the time and
nothing will happen.
Nothing happens, you know. You have no time to produce your stuff.
Okay, this is like my really last question, and then I will let you go.
Worries.
What are you listening now to? What really like touched you from the contemporary music scene?
At the moment, nothing, because I'm really working on an album.
An album of yours?
Yes, and I'm completely inside, and I cannot listen to too much. I will go to the Rewire Festival in The Hague in 2 weeks and look very much forward. to be, because there is a lot of artists that I would feel inspired, and I will have a crisis because my album will sound so shit when I listen to that, and then I will hopefully come out of this crisis again stronger, you know.
Yes, I know it really well.
Good now.
Okay, so yeah, there are no more questions. So I think at this moment I would like to thank you really a lot for your time and all the answers and all the information that you shared with us. Also, really thank you for sharing the Contradict movie.
Yes, welcome.
And
did you tell the people they can watch till Friday?
Yes. They got email with the information. Okay, so have a nice evening. Thank you a lot, and hopefully see you in flesh.
Yes, stay in contact, and thanks for the invitation.
Thank you. Ciao.
Ciao.